Story time. I'm SB Pearce and I'm a horror author and horror poet, and I share my poetry on here. So if that's what you love, follow along and you'll see something new every week. But another thing that I love to do is live storytelling, and I've yet to do a story on here, so I thought I'd start doing that today. So some of my references as I share stories from my incredulous life are you're probably gonna have to be Gen X or older to get, but listen anyway because this shit's funny. So, when I was 7 years old, my parents had been divorced for 2 years. I was born and up until that point raised in central Ohio. My mother moved me and my sister to the hometown where she and my father had both been born and raised, as well as my grandparents and my great grandparents and my great great grandparents. Well, anyway, we just kind of came out of the primordial ooze of eastern Kentucky. So, we moved there, and it's the summer, and of course, I have no friends. I have a few cousins I can play with, but I'm mostly hanging out with adults. Well, that particular summer, all the grown-ups around me, all the older cousins and all the aunts and uncles and all of them, they kept swapping this joke around, and everybody would laugh and I would laugh because I thought it was funny too. And when I started second grade, I had this amazing teacher at this new school. I was a little bit scared. New school, her name was Mrs. Reynolds, and Mrs. Reynolds was very kind and very gentle and very patient, very soft spoken. She wore long, long skirts, and she had long, long hair that went way down past her butt. She didn't wear makeup, she didn't wear jewelry, and she was just great, and I loved her. I loved her so much. I was like, oh, Mrs. Reynolds is going to love that joke. So I go into school one day and I was like, Mrs. Reynolds, I have a joke for you. And she goes, oh, tell me your joke. And I said, why did the cowboy have a brown nose? And she goes, oh, I don't know why. And I said, because he was looking for love in all the wrong places. She politely laughed and sent me into the classroom. Now, as a 7-year-old, I thought that joke was hysterically funny because the punchline was from a top 40 country hit. It wasn't until many years later that I understood the innuendo in that punchline. Adults had a very different reason for laughing than I did. And it wasn't until several years after that that when I look back upon that memory, that I finally understood why Mrs. Reynolds wore very long skirts and had very long hair past her butt. Is because Mrs. Reynolds was very, very, very Pentecostal and very religious. So, yeah, when I was 7 years old, I was telling dirty sex jokes to my very religious second grade teacher. So, that was a whole thing. And we should all probably pay attention to what we're saying in front of kids.